Serve you right if he'd killed you.
He ought to be locked up. Vicious loony like that.
What a foul, wicked beast.
Oh, he's a beast, all right. But not wicked, just stupid. Most people don't know how to treat someone like Mr. Johnny. They just laugh, and he can't bear that. Well, you saw what a rage he got into then.
But he's never done it before.
Well, not many people come here, so it's all right. But if he and Hepzibah ever had to move somewhere where there were more people like Fred, well, Mr. Johnny might have to be shut away. In a lunatic asylum or something.
But he's not mad.
You try telling Fred that.
Hey, look who's coming.
Come on now, Albert. You cover up your chest. It's time you were going.
Well, well, Frederick. Still playing the bully boy, are you?
It was only a game, Auntie Dillis. A bit of a silly joke.
You always did have a silly sense of humor. I dare say you're enjoying your time in the army.
War's a war, you know, Auntie. Now, I'll be back in the middle of it next week.
But when it's over, Frederick, what will you do then? Come back to the grocery shop?
No. That's one thing I'm sure of, Auntie. It's too narrow, this place. Too narrow for me. I want something bigger.
It'll break your father's heart. I suppose you know that. Well, Miss Sapphire Eyes, are you enjoying yourself?
That dress. It's your last dress.
Do you remember the message I gave you, child?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Good. Good. You know, things are seldom as bad as you think. Not when you come to them. So it's a waste of time being afraid. Goodbye, Carrie.
Goodbye, Mrs. Go-to-bed. Goodbye. Closing the shop.
Respect for the dead, he said.
Mrs. Go-to-bed.
Yes. She died early this morning. I couldn't come and tell them till after school.
Did she... I mean, did it hurt her much?
No. Hepzibah said it was just like putting out a light at the end of the day. I thought I'd go for a walk up the mountainside. Would you like to come?
Yes. Yes, I think I will. She's the first person I've ever known who died in all my life.
Well, she won't be the last, so I might as well get used to it.
Do you have to speak about it like that?
Oh, it's just the way you spoke. Feeling sorry for yourself. This is the first sorrow of all my life.
I didn't mean that.
Didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be beastly to you. I'm just upset.
It doesn't matter. What'll happen to Hepzibah now that she doesn't have to look after Mrs. Gotobed? Will she have to go? And Mr. Johnny? Oh, Albert, what'll happen to him?
It'll be all right. At least I think so. Mrs. Gotobed said it would be a sin if Hepzibah was turned out now, after she'd looked after her for all these years. She said she'd make a will saying that Hepzibah could stay on here as long as she wanted. I think she left her bits of jewellery to your Auntie Lou, and the house to Mr. Evans, of course. Not that it'll be much use to him. He can't sell it or let it, not while Hepzibah's there. I expect he'll be flaming mad when he hears. I should think he's been counting on it. After all, he's her brother.
Her own flesh and blood. But sometimes you owe more to strangers.
What?
That's what she told me to tell Mr. Evans once she was dead. That she'd done what she'd done, made the will, not to spite him, but because it seemed the right thing. And the right thing was to provide for Hepzibah and Mr. Johnny. I didn't understand before, but I do now. Oh, it'll make Mr. Evans so happy.
Happy?
Yes. You see, he did care about her underneath, even though they quarrelled. And I think he was jealous of Hepzibah being there and looking after her. And it'll make him so glad to know that she hadn't forgotten him and wanted him to understand what she'd done. Oh, you haven't got a brother or sister, so you wouldn't understand. But I know that if Nick hadn't spoken to me for years and years, and he died, it would make all the difference to know he was still fond of me. Oh, it'll make Mr. Evans so happy when I tell him.
So, she's got you too, has she, that Hepzibah Green? Bewitched you with her lying tales and slippery ways, as well as my poor sister. Louisa! Louisa!
What on earth did you say to him?
I don't know. Nothing wrong. Just something Mrs. Gotobed told me to tell him. I thought he'd be pleased. Perhaps he would have been if I'd explained properly. I did try. I said how I'd feel if you died, and I was so sorry for him.
You're potty. Absolutely potty.
Has done me out of my rights, but I shan't get it live. I'll drag her through every court in the land. I told you what
Carrie,
was on. Oh, no,
what have you
listen.
done?
I told you she's got a throat in.
Carrie, please stop crying. He's calmed down a bit now.
All those awful things he said about Hepzibah. He really hates her. Now he's going to do something terrible to her and Mr. Johnny. I know he is. And it's all my fault.
Don't be daft. What can he do? He can't turn them out of the house. Not if Mrs. Gotobed said they were to stay.
I suppose not. But remember what he was saying about dragging her through every court in the land. It sounds horrible. And I'm sure he meant it. I must go and see Hepzibah and warn her.
But she's in that house. Mrs. Gotobed, in a coffin.
Well, you needn't go. But I'm going. I must. Tomorrow, straight after school.